The Movies of the Meek, where we watch made-for-TV movies and miniseries so you don't have to. From Gia to Xenon, Hysteria to Sybil, welcome to Movies of the Meek.
This week we watched A Tale of Two Corys, and it chronicles the early careers of Corey Feldman and best friend Corey Haim, the two Corys. And it just kind of shows them, being child actors and getting molested and just doing a lot of drugs and partying. And it's kind of sad, but it's like really fun at the same time. And then it jumps ahead 20 years, and we get to see older Corey Feldman and older Corey Haim. So was that a pretty good summary?
That was the most I was disappointed in this movie.
I wasn't disappointed in the Corey Haim as an adult. I was disappointed as Corey Feldman as an adult. I thought the actor who played Corey Feldman was terrible.
Like, baby Corey Feldman was so good.
Well, both of them were so good as kids, but when it jumps 20 years, I thought the Corey Feldman actor was terrible. But he didn't look like Corey Feldman, and the mannerisms were really off. I thought Corey Haim, that actor, nailed it. Do you agree with me?
Mannerisms.
Yeah, dude. Like, I watched the two Corys when it was on TV. I thought that guy killed it.
Yeah. No, and I will say the younger versions of them, they were incredible. I loved them so much.
Oh my god,
they were so good.
I wonder if actual Corey Feldman was that sad and moody when he was a kid.
You think that he tried to blow his brains out in a bathtub?
Yeah, that was a little crazy. Now, tonally, how would you describe this movie? Because I felt like it
good.
It was kind of bouncing back and forth.
The closest thing that I can compare it to is if you've ever seen the movie Pawn Sacrifice with Tobey Maguire.
No.
It's the tale of Bobby Fischer when he is going to battle the Russians, right?
Okay.
And so what ends up happening is that he goes insane.
Oh.
And so the movie Pawn Sacrifice has this really weird choice to make where they're like, we love this time period. We get to play Beach Boys music. It's fucking sick. But then they're also like, oh yeah, we forgot he's also going insane. And so there's this jarring transition between they love the era that the movie takes place in, but they also have a drama to tell.
A very dark drama.
And I feel like this movie did the same thing.
Absolutely, Max.
Where they were just like, oh, these kids are getting molested. It is dark as fuck. But also, Michael Jackson's there and it's hilarious.
That's exactly what this felt like. I mean, it would literally be like Corey Haim would get molested. And then the next scene would be really upbeat 80s music, and they were fucking dancing or they're playing football. I mean, it was fucking amazing. I mean, everything up until them turning into adults was in my book a really good movie.
Yeah.
And then after that, it kind of went downhill. It slowed down quite a bit after the time jump.
It slows down so much. Yeah.
But yes, where should we start? I mean, the beginning of the movie is super dark. If Corey Haim is on the set of his first movie, and he meets the man with no face.
Yeah.
Who takes him into a trailer and does bad things to him.
There's a girls' club and there's a boys' club. You want to be in the boys' club, right? You want to do manly things? Yeah, I guess so, man with no face. Why don't you come on into my trailer and I'll just keep putting my hand on your shoulder. And it's it doesn't seem like there's a boys' club and a girls' club. It seems like there's just a boys' club that uses both boys and girls.
I like when he brings it up to Corey Feldman a little later, and He's like, yeah, the boys club, dude, and Corey Feldman's just like, what are you talking about, dude? Pretty sure there is no boys club.
My favorite part about that scene is that, okay, so obviously that's the blow-up doll scene, which is one of the greatest sequences that's ever happened and been captured on film.
It's pretty good.
Amazing, especially that transition where it's like, you want to see something really fucking sick? And then just cut to Corey Haim with a blow-up doll with like giant boobs.
That was the last thing I was expecting.
And then my thing is that he's making fun of Corey Feldman because of the fact that he's a virgin. He's like, what? You've never had sex, you little bitch?
You're not part of the boys club, dude.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's like, oh, you're such a fucking pussy. Oh, and Corey Feldman's like, I'm in like this long-term relationship, and then Corey Haim is like, psh, I've had sex with dudes. Whatever. Shut up. Corey Feldman's like, what? He's just like, I just feel like my first time should be special. And he's like, no, it shouldn't. My first time, anyway, it's like the boys club, right? Shut your face. It's like such
Corey
a
Feldman's just like,
Corey
Feldman, he's like, but wait, seriously, I think you got molested.
Yeah.
He's like cuts.
He's like, so I feel like your first time was actually you getting raped, and in comparison to that, anything would have been special. Would you not have preferred that? And he's like, okay, loser. It's like, what is the message here? Come on, Corey Haim, figure it out.
He doesn't figure it out ever, apparently. Because those two just go downhill from there. They go from blow-up dolls to hard drugs.
Yeah, just doing lines of coke.
I think it's after this. Corey Haim's family is like getting ready for dinner, and they're like, "Corey, come on, dinner's ready." And he like goes into his room, and it's the first time we see him smoke marijuana. And he pulls out fucking tightly packed bowl. Like he just has these bowls packed like to deal with his fucking anxiety and depression. And I don't even know how old he is at this point. He has to be like 14.
Yeah.
These kids start young because when they're really crashing, they're only 16 or 17. Like when he's overdosing, he's 17, I think. Which is kind of nuts. I was thinking about that while I was watching this movie. I was like, I wasn't smoking pot at 14. And I wasn't doing like coke or all this other stuff. Like they started so young to think, you know what I mean? Like not just pot, but like everything. They literally partied from 14 to 17 like they were in their 20s, which is kind of fucking crazy to think about. A 14-year-old doing that. Yeah, they're fucking really cool. But but yeah, so did you think the ADR in this movie was terrible?
No,
like
obviously
some of the voiceover was really bad, especially when he in the beginning when he was on set. It was like holy shit, doesn't even sound like the kid who's playing Corey Haim.
I will say, just going over some of the stuff that happens that's amazing, they establish Corey's wanting to meet each other because they're both named Corey and they've both heard about each other, and it's just like, I heard you were the kid from the Goonies and you're like the other Corey and I'm Corey, and Corey gets depressed and he wants to blow his brains out. And
this
so
was immediately after the suicide bathroom scene. Like the call from Corey Haim saves Corey Feldman's life.
Yeah. And they meet each other, and it's one of those things where when they're talking to each other. They're like going over their similarities as they're walking away from the beach. And he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're an actor and I'm an actor? Your name is Corey. My name is Corey.
That is
You're
my favorite
Jewish.
fucking...
I'm Jewish.
Your favorite number is 22. My favorite number is 222. We're best friends. It reminded me of the fucking Step Brothers scene.
Yeah. It's like absolutely insane. And that's right after this sequence where they play football, and that scene is so weird. And there's this like weird 80s-ish music playing, and it sounds more like Tim and Eric style 80s music, but that's fine. And it's insane, and they make up this handshake, which they tie in at the end of the movie. It's just so fucking weird. And that's also, so right before this scene, we hear Corey Haim's mom talk for the first time. Now, I looked her up because I had this question. Mm-hmm. Where do you think she's from?
Oh, I have no idea.
Because in this movie, she sounds like a vampire. Because she's like, but Corey, it is you're from here. I am the vampire, Bagul.
I definitely thought she was of European descent, but I didn't know if that was the actress who played. I didn't think Corey had, his parent, like his mom was like that. And she sounded like she just came over, had Corey. And you were saying the mom sounds like she's a vampire, which I agree 100%. But I have no idea. Like, I heard her accent in this movie, and I thought it was strange, but I didn't. You don't really hear too much of her, so.
Yeah. But straight up, she is just a regular American. And if you
Wait, what was the accent?
If you watch interviews with her, which I did, she sounds completely normal.
But was Corey Haim's mom foreign?
No, she wasn't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so that's what I'm saying, is that it's straight up the actress just has that accent.
Oh, okay. So the actress has the accent and brought that accent to the character.
Yeah.
Because she's not a good actress.
Exactly.
I got you. Okay, I thought it was the other way around. Okay, cool. Cool. She killed it though. Her as a cancer-ridden old mom.
Yeah, really
was
good.
Devastating.
Even though she also sounded like a vampire then.
I thought it was creepy how she took off her wig like at the dinner table.
Yeah,
and
gross.
was all old. I was just like, don't do that. Like, go upstairs and put your little scarf on. That's a little insensitive to people who take their wigs off.
It's very insensitive.
Well, I wasn't expecting her to do that. I was like a fucking shock, man.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, honestly, my notes, Max, on reading it, it's just like, it's my thoughts, and then it's just like punctuated with like a line that says, Corey gets molested again. And then, because it's like, it's done so, it happens to both of them, but just, it's crazy. If that's how it really was for those two, it's fucking great. Like, so the man with no face does it.
Yeah.
And then, and then it's Corey's chaperone comes in, and at first you're like, oh, this dude's just checking in.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he's like, you guys want to do hard drugs? And immediately he's like, I'm bi. You want to hang out? and then,
all right. So my baby boy Corey Haim is just smoking.
He's
a ton
ripping,
of weed.
dude. He's ripping.
He's just
fat
ripping
balls.
bongs.
Yeah. He's like, this is that good Cali shit, dude.
And so Corey Feldman is like, I'm trying to practice these lines. My hair is the greatest it's ever looked.
Dude,
and
his mullet, oh my god.
And so he's just like, Corey Haim is just like, I just want to fuck. And then the chaperone comes in, and the chaperone is like, hey fellas. And he's like, I can't believe I'm allowed in here, cause my name isn't Corey, guys. oh my god, am I allowed in here? And Corey Haim was like, yeah, fucking sit down. And and he's like, what are you guys doing? What's up? And he's like, do you know any bitches? And Corey Feldman just wants to run his fucking lines, and he's like, no, he doesn't know any bitches, but he's bi. Why don't you guys just, like, go fuck? That way we can run these lines. And for some reason, Corey's chaperone takes that completely seriously, and he's like, hey, Corey, I'll give you a bone job in that back room. And Corey Haim is just like, yeah, okay. And then they go away, and Feldman is like, guys, I was kidding. Guys, I was kidding. Yeah. Guys. And then they just walk away, and he's like, I guess I'm just gonna walk down the long and lonely road, going nowhere. And that's when he runs into this wonderful random girl who's like, do you want to do coke and dance? And it'll be the greatest scene of this movie.
She doesn't even know that he's Corey Feldman when she picks him up. Yeah. She's like, she has no idea, which is mind-blowing to me that back in the day, people would just pick up hitchhikers like that and pick them back to their house, not knowing who they are. And kids, he was like 14, 15.
She's like, he looks pretty familiar.
I can't put my finger on it.
I feel like he might be a celebrity. Let me take him home.
But they're doing coke, and then she says at one point, I can't believe I'm doing coke with mouth. And I was like, the best thing ever.
Now, she puts a tape in the tape player, and I paused it, and the tape is called Music of the Charts. I enjoyed that. That's a good little detail.
Yeah. It is. I also enjoyed their UFO conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah. Where they're just going on fucking rants about UFOs. Because that's what happens when people do a bunch of drugs. They put out a tape called Music of the Charts, which just sounds like knockoff David Bowie. And then they dance and then talk about UFOs. So he wakes up from his coke-fueled dance binge night, and he's like, oh man, I gotta go to set. And then this is where, once again, the tone of this movie is real rough, because he goes to set, and the director's like, you're on fucking drugs, aren't you, kid? And he's like, come on, just like, chill, dog. And the director's like, you're fucking fired. I don't care. You're fucking fired. And then narration comes in, and they decided in the beginning of the movie that they want both Coreys to narrate it.
Yeah.
But they give up on that pretty early.
Yeah, they do. Well, that's a really strange decision to have two narrators.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell them apart, but...
Especially when one of their stories is so bleak... I feel like you would not want him to narrate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it seems, if I'll be honest, his story doesn't have as many happy points.
Ham, you're referring to.
Of course.
Okay, just checking.
You know?
Yeah. It was a very dark story, and I don't want to jump ahead to the end, and I always say that, but they somehow... make it a happy ending in a way when in reality it was not a happy ending for him.
No, yeah.
Which I thought was an interesting choice, considering they made sure every molestation was in there, but they somehow did not include his death. So yeah. I don't know. But anyway, after this scene with the director, we have probably Wait, you have something else you want to say about this?
Well, I was going to say that they have this really hard transition where they bring up all those teen magazines that are just like, check it out, like, whoa, they were on the cover of Tiger Beat. And then that's where it cuts to commercial. And it's just like, okay, so you just went from, like, him getting fired because of the amount of drugs that he's doing to just, like, it's just like, Corey. And it's like,
well, that was the show that he was at the top of his game, man. I mean, he got...
It's just such a rough transition.
Well, yeah, I agree. But he gets fired, and then the narration comes in, and it's like, well, I had to let him cool down, and he was fine because I'm Corey Feldman. And then we see all the magazine covers, which are fucking amazing. Those recreations of the famous magazine. And then it's after this that we get the whole partying montage
at the dance club.
Yes, which is fantastic.
So good.
It is awesome.
So good.
Corey Feldman gets to show off his Michael Jackson moves. Have we seen Michael Jackson at this point yet?
Yes, we have.
Because that was great casting. I love him. I love when he talk. Oh my god! I don't want to get to the scene where he calls up Corey Feldman's dad yet, but it's my favorite thing in like the whole movie. But they're at the club and they're drinking heavily, and they're walking in and they see some babes standing in line, and then Corey Haim's like, "These babes are with me," and they go inside, and they're fucking partying, and then Haim's like, "Yo, Feldman, show me those moves," and he gets on the dance floor and starts dancing like Michael Jackson. So that was fucking cool. He looks like Michael Jackson at this point.
He really looks like Michael Jackson.
They really hammer that home that he likes Michael Jackson and he copies everything about Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And they also start doing a lot of coke in this period of their lives.
Yeah.
In a very comical way, which again, the tone in this movie is so fucking wacky. This should be a dark period.
Yeah.
But they're portraying it like it's a fucking Disney Channel movie. Like, you know the scene, the shot where there's a couple shots in this montage of them, like, doing lines, right?
Yeah.
But there's one shot of them, they go down, do a line, and they pick their heads up, and the camera, like, pans to the right, and it's just, like, this fat dude who, like, he just, like, pulls out this little baggie of coke, and he, shakes it, and he's, like, he smiles.
That part is so good. But that's also...
Like, what the fuck is this?
That's another thing where, once again, if you changed the way in which you depicted that in itself, to me, with everything that's been happening, has a dark tonality to it. Where it's this fat, gross man that has the drugs. And of course, Corey Haim is going to do anything he can to get those drugs.
Yes.
You know?
No, definitely.
And so that's the thing where it's like, instead of playing it off as like, "Hey guys," and it's like,
but they should have played that like the very first scene in the movie when he, you know what I mean? When he gets taken advantage of. Like that was the tone going in, and now it's morphed into this like kind of wacky fun movie, dude.
Which, once again, it's just fun to have an 80s movie, and that's the trap they fell into.
They just had too much fun making this movie.
Yeah.
You know?
And I also love the aftermath of that, which is that Corey Haim drives his car home, and he, like, crashes into all these garbage cans, and he gets in his front door, it's like, "Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, what are you guys doing up?" And they're like, "Jesus, Corey, it's fucking 7 a.m.
I didn't know he was still living with his parents during this whole time.
Same.
I thought for sure they had their mansion somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
But both of them, well, Corey Feldman's home life was a little shaky to begin with.
Yeah.
Haim had like the perfect family apparently. But it's funny to me that he's like doing these hard drugs and partying, and he's still like living in a little shitty like fucking suburb house. You know what I mean? You'd think he'd be, I guess shortly after he does get his own place, but he comes home and his parents are like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And they're like, "Where'd you get all these pills from? And by the way, we're getting a divorce." And it devastates Corey Max.
Yeah.
So, and then the movie kind of shifts to being sad again at this point. Did we get another fun scene, or is this or was that the party montage the last fun scene?
The party montage is kind of the last scene that's fun. Like, they have the party at the house where they're shooting the burbs. But even that one has, like, that dark tone because...
Like, Corey's going off
Haim, Haim is, like, going off the deep end, and he's just like, you invited too many people, you breached my trust. And Corey's like, "But check out this babe I'm with, I'm gonna go fuck her later, peace out, you loser, bye."
Yeah,
you know, and
they're
so
having their
it
issues.
still has this shitty tone to it.
And then they're like doing crack before you know it.
Yeah.
And then he overdoses. Yeah, it kind of just goes downhill from the party scene.
The two things that happen with the families are, so Corey Haim is dealing with the fact that it's like his parents for some reason like don't get jobs anymore because they're just like, our kid's famous, whatever, let's not have jobs. And then this is where Corey Feldman gets a blowjob from his manager, which is super weird. And then his dad starts fucking with his funds, and he's out with Corey, and he's like, what the hell does overdraft mean? And then you hear the dad's sick as fuck band, and his dad's band rules. And he's like, you gotta stop taking my money and doing dumb things with my money. And that's when the dad is just like, I'm not your fucking whatever, I'm your manager. And then he's like, I don't need a manager, I need my father. And he's like, if I'm not your manager, then I'm not your father. And that's where Feldman decides to basically like divorce his parents. And then Doug becomes his full-time manager, and this is where he says, and this is one of my favorite lines of all time, I got my own place, Doug became my full-time manager, and that's when he introduced us to all the drugs, shrooms, LSD, crack, and the granddaddy of them all, Chiba, heroin in Spanish.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I was like, you really need to clarify that Chiba is heroin in Spanish.
It's one of the times where the narration really adds to the movie.
The granddaddy of them all, Chiba. That's heroin in Spanish.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And then it shows him on the set of The Burbs, and he's just like so fucked up, you know, and he's dealing with the fact that Haim is getting all these sick roles, and he's like, man, I can never get like a starring role in a movie, I'm just gonna do a shit ton of heroin all the time. And then Carrie Fisher is there. And Carrie Fisher's like giving him words of advice, and she's like, I know you think you're fucking hot shit, and you're fucking playing all these fucking cool shit, and you think you can fake it, and you think everyone can't tell. I can tell, because I've been in that same place, and you know what, you're gonna hit rock bottom, kid, and I'm just letting you know that it can get better from here. And he's just like, shut up, Carrie Fisher. And do you think that they'll use that actress for Star Wars prequels?
I hope so.
Because I loved her, and I want her to be in Star Wars prequels.
Her voice did not sound like that, though.
And also, it would be amazing if they had continuity with A Tale of Two Corys for Star Wars films. If you were like, where did they even get this woman to play Princess Leia? Like, how did they figure this out? And they're like, oh, she played Carrie Fisher in another movie.
Yeah, she already embodied the actress who plays Princess Leia, so, like, she, like, really knows how to play Princess Leia. And by portray Carrie Fisher, I mean just be a female with the same color hair.
Whoa!
I don't think she embodied Carrie Fisher at all.
Whoa!
By the way.
You didn't get any of her amazing like her vivacious personality.
No.
She was a real firecracker. You know? All right, that's fine.
You know,
whatever.
I'm looking at my notes now, Max, just to go back to an earlier point you made, and I have, what kind of accent does Corey Haim's mom have? Question mark, question mark. But I think she says some crazy shit at the end where I'm like, who are you? Where'd you come from? She's like the Tommy Wiseau of this movie.
And that was, you know, one of the things that I was thinking is that other than trying to make her sound like a vampire, I was like, maybe what they're trying to do is because they talked about how they're both Jewish, maybe they were trying to, like, super play up, like, a Jewish mother, you know?
Maybe.
I was like, is that what they're trying to do? Make her, like, cliche Jewish sounding? Because it doesn't work and she sounds like a vampire. But also the mom doesn't sound like that in real life. Now, around the time where he's doing a bunch of heroin and they're all doing a bunch of drugs, they show Corey Feldman's musical side, and he's writing music by himself, and I really liked that.
Yeah, because that's what his career kind of morphed into after the sitcom The Two Coreys. He became a wonderful musician. I think he had an album in the 90s before The Two Coreys.
Yeah.
Or he had a couple albums, I think. But he just recently had a comeback, as we know.
Yeah.
With Corey's Angels.
But that's the thing that's weird about this movie is that, like, I don't know. After this point, Corey ends up going into rehab after,
Corey Haim?
Corey Feldman goes to rehab.
Yeah, first, yeah.
Yeah.
And
then Corey ODs, and then that's when I found out that Corey's mom was played by a Swedish actress. And then I was like, oh yeah, I should keep watching this movie. And then I looked back and I was like, oh shit, it's 2004 all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And then it's them trying to figure out how to piece their lives back together.
How to make money. Mainly. Like, fuck, we're broke.
Yeah, it's like Corey Feldman is like, hey MTV, do you want to televise me getting married? And MTV's like, I guess so. And then he's like, hey, I think I can get the Coreys back together. And then they're like, yeah, but he needs to go into rehab. And there's this restaurant scene that's amazing.
Oh my god.
Where they just air out all their fucking dirty laundry with each other.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Very good.
The girl comes up and she's like, you want chips? And he's like, you could have stopped those people from molesting me. And she's like, no chips. I'll bye.
When I watched this scene, I was like, the way Haim was describing their past was false from what we had just watched in the movie. But then I was like, well, he's still addicted to pills, and it's been like 20 years, so maybe his memory's a little shaky. But he was like literally blaming Corey Feldman for everything that went wrong in his life.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure I mean, if Corey Feldman didn't make the joke when they were in the hotel room, maybe the guy wouldn't have molested him. I don't know.
So maybe 1 out of 30 times wouldn't have happened.
Yes. But Haim's blaming everything on Corey. And then they get in a fist fight in the alley.
Which is sick.
Yeah. And then Corey Haim goes to rehab.
Yeah. And then they're like, let's do Lost Boys.
Then they reunite like 3 years later?
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting, and I mean, Feldman may have ultimately, I mean, based on this movie, I don't know what really happened, but this movie tells it that Feldman kind of drags Haim back into Hollywood because he's living in Canada, I think.
Yep.
So, he drags him to L.A., gets him on the sitcom. They have their falling out. Haim goes to rehab. And then when they meet 3 years later, Haim seems to have his shit together. He's clean. They're both clean. And the movie kind of ends after that. Shortly after that, they go. One of my second favorite scene, I think, is them going back to the beach, where they had their first football game.
Yeah.
With their great dads.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like thinking back on their lives, and then it cuts to like them as kids running in the sand. And it's like super fucking cheesy and very Lifetime, and I'm just like, this is exactly how this movie should end. Because I was like, it's gonna end with him dying, of course.
Yeah.
And it just fucking ends. I think they do their handshake, and then that's it. The handshake that they did once in the movie, it wasn't even like it was a recurring thing that happened.
Nope.
It's like a 5-second little thing where they figure it out and then they do it once.
Yeah.
But so it ends on a happy note, I guess. But Haim does die like shortly after this in real life, because he's still doing drugs this whole time. He never really got fully clean.
It says that he died of pneumonia
from drug use. I read.
But what I'm saying is that the Lifetime movie says he died of pneumonia.
Oh, Well, maybe he did die of pneumonia, but it was like due to complications from his failing health from years of drug use. But I just thought it was, I don't know. But I guess what I was going with that whole thing was Feldman could, you could say, well, Feldman kind of killed him. He brought him. I mean, he was still doing drugs when he was in Canada, but he brought him back into the spotlight in a way that probably wasn't healthy for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is such a weird movie, Max. It's
real weird.
I had so much fun watching it. But then I'm like, this is like really fucked up what they went through. Those two boys.
Yeah, it's a cross between delightful and then horrifically dark.
Yeah, it's nuts. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, you could tell Feldman's fucked up too. He still is.
Yeah.
The whole thing. But I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this movie. I wrote at the end, they just need to hug it out. I'm not really sure what that means in my notes. I think that was... I think that just means they need to hug it out,
You right.
Yeah. I was really happy that Corey Feldman stuck to his guns and continued wearing fedoras and Michael Jackson suits well into his late 30s.
Yeah. Now, next week, now that I got a taste of Michael Jackson, I really want to do Lifetime's Michael Jackson's Searching for Neverland.
What? Has Lifetime made movies of all my favorite people?
More than likely.
Every day I'm finding out they made a movie about a famous person that I love.